So good morning everyone. Welcome to the lecture. Welcome to the lecture with the topic name of Rhabdovirus. In the series of this basics of virology, we today will be discussing a topic that belongs to actually a category of negative strand RNA viruses. When we are talking about the negative strand RNA viruses, the first virus that comes into my mind is rabies virus. Why? Because it is endemic in multiple nations. It spreads with a very familiar mammal that is being kept in domestication for almost 3 in 10 houses. So when we are talking about that particular negative strand virus, the the virus that I'm talking about is rabies virus and belonging to the rhabdoviruses category. So today we'll be discussing the complete, uh, the replication cycle and the infection mode of this particular rabies virus and how it manages to evade the immune response. That has been the chronology of our lectures, right? That first we understand the structure of the viruses, then we understand the genome organization of that virus, then when we should understand how that virus is actually causing the infection inside the cell, how it is getting replicated, what are the parallel proteins that are involved in this replication. Then after this understanding, we should be able to understand that how this virus manages to evade our immune response, or in turn I should say that what are the immune responses that we are mounting, although we have a standard set of immune responses that are mounted against viral infection. Then once we have understood that particular phenomena, we should also be able to understand how this disease is initiated, how the central nervous system that is getting affected by this particular rabies virus, how it reaches to the central nervous system, and what are the clinical symptoms. Once we have understood it, we will be looking at the glimpse of what are the management strategies. So by the end of the lecture, I expect that you will be aware of all these scenarios and you will be aware how the impairment in the central nervous system is leading to the pathogenesis of the rabies disease. So without delay, let us begin. So see, rabies is not a new virus, first of all, and rabies disease is not a new disease that was put ahead. Rabies is prevalent, and it has been known to us since ages, since primitive times. It has been documented in Vedic period also, where people have shown that certain kind of symptoms are there, which have been associated with the dog bite. And in BC era also, people have speculated that it might be spread to humans by saliva of the infected animal. So it's not a new thing, it's not a new disease, but it's a already known disease. It's just that in the past decades we have understood the complete replication cycle of this particular virus. We have isolated the virus. Now we understand each aspect of this particular virus, and we have designed the management strategies to curb this particular clinical symptoms of this virus. Now, why I'm focusing on rabies virus? It's just a dog bite. Once an infected dog is biting, we take the injections, we get vaccinated, and we are okay. But please understand the era or the period where the vaccinations were not available. In fact, in today's era also, in certain nations where there is a delay in taking the vaccination, the incubation period of this virus, that is the main part. The incubation period lies from days, months, and years. But once the clinical symptom sets on, the incubation period is, suppose the bite has happened on leg, viruses got infected in the muscles, they will start replicating, dividing, there will be no symptom. Once the symptoms start coming, once the symptoms are starting coming, then there is no turning back. Then there is no turning back, and there are very, very few reports of the individuals who have managed to survive after the symptoms have started. After the symptoms have started. So this is the reason why we are focused on this particular virus. And you see the epidemiological studies. You see the epidemiological studies, how spread and how the cases of these rabies virus have been reported in the beginning of 2001. I'm talking about the beginning of 2001. The rabies presence of the rabies virus is actually global. It's not related to a certain kind of area. So rabies is widely distributed, across the globe, and even the reports of the mortality that was associated with the particular virus has been found to be almost 55,000 of the individuals are dying per year. So it's a serious threat. It's a serious threat, and the majority of the death is happening in Asia Pacific, Asia, Asia and African continents. And most of the infections that were induced to the humans were related to the dog bite, of course, related to the dog bite, because humans frequently come in contact with the dog because of the domestication. So the mortality not only went was higher in this particular region, but it also was higher in the children with the age less than 15 years. Less than 15 years. So what is rabies? Rabies is actually, we are defining rabies as disease, but the virus is called as rabies virus, or technically Lyssa virus. Now that particular disease or the virus is a zoonotic in nature. Is zoonotic in nature. What is zoonotic? It can be transferred from animals to humans. And what are the roots of infection? See, dog bite, the saliva, the while the dog is bitten, the teeth is penetrating, crossing the mucosal membrane, and penetrating inside the muscle. So the saliva is entering directly into the muscle. One can also get infected by inhalation of aerosolic rabies virus, where the rabies virus is present in aerosols in the caves, the bat caves. In the bat caves, once if there is an infected bat scenario there, then the aerosols might contain rabies virus, which you will be inhaling, and then it might lead to the infection. Now this disease this disease is particularly present in every continent, as showed you, but the majority of the death what we are observing is coming in Asia and Africa. And talking about the Asian countries, in India, it was seen that there were major mortality that was associated with this particular virus, almost greater than 10,000, almost greater than 10,000. So you see, this particular virus is, is very much of threat. That's why we always keep on focusing on this particular virus. That's why we always keep on focusing on this particular virus. So in order to completely understand this particular virus, we should be going step by step in this particular section. Now rabies, let's talk about rabies virus. It belongs to a family, as we talk about rhabdoviridae. In that particular family of rhabdoviridae, there are multiple genuses, but none of the genuses are of that much threat as like rabies virus. That this particular rabies virus genus name is called as Lyssa virus. That's why I told you it's technically we call it as Lyssa virus, but since it is being commonly named based on disease what it is causing, that's why we call it as rabies virus. Now if you see the structure of this rabies virus, you will see that it's a very simple virus. It's not complicated. It's a very simple virus which contains a single strand organized genome, RNA genome, which is surrounded by the capsid protein and the envelope. So it's an enveloped virus. It's not naked, and the complete shape is such and ease that it gives you a representation of a bullet. That's why we call it as bullet-shaped virus. So if you see this particular bullet-shaped virus, it can infect not only the dogs or the bats we are talking about. It can infect multiple mammals. It can infect fox also. It is infecting humans also. So the spectrum of the hosts are large are large. That's why people have kept on studying this particular virus. And you see the particular structure. If we're talking about this virus, first of all I would like to draw your attention to the bottom image, that is an electron microscopy. Look at this particular virus in the real time. It gives you a representation of a bullet. It gives you a representation of a bullet in 3 dimension. But when we are looking at this particular structure, the bullet part, there is a complete envelope. There are multiple protrusions like spikes which are coming out. These are called as glycoprotein. Just beneath the glycoprotein, there will be a lipid membrane, which we are calling it as an envelope. And then there will be matrix protein. There are nucleoproteins, ribonucleoproteins. There is an RNA genome here. And the complete size, if I talk about this complete size, the width of this particular virus particle, is 75 nanometer, whereas we are talking about the length that is somewhere around 180 nanometer. So it's a very small virus also, and it's very simple virus also. It gives you a representation of a bullet, which is formed because of the accumulation of different proteins and the RNA molecule. And if we look at the in-depth analysis of what kind of proteins are present in this particular virus, then let us see here. See, look at this picture. It's a clear-cut description of what is inside. Now let's start from the outside and then we'll go inside. So first of all, there are spike proteins. Spike proteins are glycoproteins. These are proteins associated with the glycoprotein. Now, these are attached on a lipid layer, lipid bilayer actually. It's a lipid bilayer which forms an envelope. Just beneath the envelope, the green zone, what you are observing, the green zone which you are observing is a matrix, Then there is a RNA molecule, the single strand RNA molecule, which is of course a negative sense RNA molecule. Along with this RNA molecule, there are two types of proteins which are associated. The one which are represented in red are called as large proteins, whereas the small one, what we are talking about, the yellow one, are phosphoproteins. So you see the number of proteins are also limited. The structure is very simple. So the complete structure, well, it is represented as it is representing us in the form of bullet. The virus, the based on the manipulation and based on the study or based on the availability of a wild type, we have categorized this virus into two types: fixed virus and street virus. Now let us see what do you mean by fixed virus and what is meant by street virus. What is meant by fixed virus and what is meant by street virus? See, when the viruses, or we should say when the rabies virus, which is being taken into the laboratory and it has gone to multiple passages, multiple passages through different animals or to animals in a simple order, with an aim to, I have to stabilize its virulency and incubation period. That means I am putting effort in order to rationalize a wild type virus and defining its incubation period so that it follows the same incubation period always. And how am I doing? I am going for multiple times. I'm going for infecting it multiple times in different in mammals. Like if I'm infecting in rabbit, I'm going for serial passaging, serial infection, and by the end of say 10 to 20 cycle, I see that there is a stability that has been gained by this particular virus. Those viruses are called as fixed virus. The other category what we should discuss is a street virus. Now, what is street virus? Viruses which are infecting the individual, and they have never been taken into a kind of a laboratory scenario. They are not any kind of a adapted strain. These are purely wild type viruses. With a very high virulency factor. So all these viruses which are not been taken into a laboratory scenario are called as street viruses, and the viruses which have been taken into laboratory scenario in order to stabilize their incubation period or in the virulency, those are called as fixed virus. So with this, let us look at the genome, how that single strand RNA that is of particular interest, how it is behaving, what is the length, and what are the proteins that are being coded. See, it's a very simple single strand RNA and a very short single strand RNA made up of 12,000 base pairs. It's a 12 kilo base pair length RNA. Now, this particular RNA is arranged from 3' to 5'. You see that the segment is from 3' to 5'. Fine. Then there are 5 portions, 5 genes, and it codes for only 5 proteins. The RNA in this particular rabies virus codes for only 5 proteins. So while how this process is taken care, see, this is a RNA genome which is negative sense. Now from this RNA genome, mRNA is formed. First mRNA is formed, and then only this positive strand mRNA will lead to the formation of protein. The negative strand RNA cannot directly leads to the formation of protein. It first should convert it into a positive strand mRNA, and that positive strand mRNA will be utilized for the synthesis of protein. So you see this genome, there is a deliberate attempt to make you understand that the region or the genes are not in continuous arrangement. There is a gap in between. This gap, technically we are calling it as intragenic sequences, which are not coding for any kind of proteins. which are not coding for any kind of proteins. So when the transcription is starting, when the RNA polymerase comes and transcribes this particular negative strand RNA, it transcribes the regions which actually code for protein only, and then it stops. And then it stops. It ignores the gap. It will ignore the gap. It will slide on, and then again from this side, it will start transcribing the second region, that is P. Then it will finish the P mRNA. It will again stop. It will ignore the intergenic sequence. Then it will reach to M at the starting point, and then it will be transcribing the mRNA, and henceforth, and so on. So you see, it's a classical example. What classical example? It's a classical example of a type of transcription process which is halting in between, ignoring the intergenic sequences, and then again restarting, and then again restarting. So this successful reinitiation of transcription at each junction, what we are talking about, at each junction, it is not very common. It is not very common. Fine. So when it leads to a formation of RNA, it leads to a formation of mRNA. This mRNA is similar to what we get in eukaryotic model. How? It will contain the 5' cap, it will contain the poly A tail. So when both these modifications on the mRNA are present, then the host RNA, the host enzyme which is responsible for the cleavage of RNA molecule, that is RNase, nuclease, then that particular enzyme will not be able to degrade this mRNA. So you see, it is in turn providing the stability to the viral mRNA. It is in turn providing stability to the viral mRNA. Now, another thing that one should understand, at the 3' end, this particular region which does not code for anything, this is called as leader RNA. This is called as leader RNA. This is the place where the RNA polymerase will be coming and binding. What RNA polymerase? The RNA polymerase which is coded by this particular virus. Fine. So this is how it is happening. And this rabies virus, when we are talking about rabies virus, it's a neurotropic virus. Neurotropic virus means once it is getting infected, it directly goes to the spinal cord, and then it travels through the spinal cord, goes to the brain, and then it causes the impairment of central nervous system. So the complete virus, what we understood till now, is a negative strand virus, which is a ribonucleoprotein encapsulated in an envelope, and it contains series of proteins. It contains 5 proteins which are coded by 12 kilobase pair of genome. Now in those proteins that we saw, there is a very large protein called as L, and this L is actually the main polymerase enzyme that is being coded by this particular virus. So this particular enzyme forms a complex. The L protein, which is coded by the virus, is a polymerase enzyme, and it will combine with the phosphoprotein, and both these protein molecules will result in the formation of a complex called as polymerase complex, which is actually responsible for transcribing the negative strand RNA into a positive strand mRNA molecule. So this is about the genome, and when we look at the particular structure that we are talking about, the 5 different proteins. What are those 5 different proteins? Those proteins are named based on the genome or the G sequence. See, there is L. L is what? L is RNA dependent RNA polymerase. L is RNA dependent RNA polymerase. As I told you, it's the largest segment of that particular genome. Then we have G protein. G protein are the spikes. The G proteins are the spikes that are present on the surface of the envelope, that are called as glycoproteins. Then we have N protein. N protein is what? N protein is a ribonucleoprotein which will bind to the RNA and will stabilize the RNA. Then we have NS protein, S segment, which is responsible for forming the phosphoprotein. And this particular phosphoprotein will combine with the L protein to give rise to a polymerase complex. Then when we saw the complete structure, there was a presence of a matrix protein just beneath the envelope layer, and that is coded by M segment, or we call it as M protein. So you see, there are only 5 proteins which are coded by the genome, and imagine these 5 proteins and the virus is sufficient enough to evade all our immune response if there is no extra management is being given under clinical conditions. If I am not giving any kind of treatment, if I am not giving any kind of vaccination, if I am not giving any kind of any kind of chemical compounds to treat this particular infection, then these five proteins are sufficient enough to evade the immune response. That is how the complete structure of a small bullet shaped rabies virus is what we end up to study. Then let's talk about the replication cycle. Now, this is the rabies virus. This rabies virus will be adsorbing on the surface of this particular cell. It will be attached to the receptor. Now, there have been multiple studies in identifying the receptor of this particular rabies virus. People have come across few receptors. Earlier, it was thought that yes, this salic acid might be receptor, but then eventually we were able to identify the no, nicotine receptor is one of the major receptor of this particular virus. Now, when it attaches to that particular receptor, I'm talking about the nicotine acetylcholine receptor. I'm talking about the nicotine acetylcholine receptor that has been that there are conclusive evidences that this particular receptor is the major receptor of this particular viruses, although people have also given there are certain different kinds of receptors also. Now, this particular virus will attach to that particular receptor, and there will be a membrane invagination. The membrane invagination will be mediated by the clathrin proteins which are present, and the endocytosis will be performed. Receptor mediated endocytosis will be performed. The endocytosis will be leading to the formation of a bubble of a membrane in which the viral particle is present. This is called as endosome. This is called as endosome. This endosome molecule, where the process of fusion will be releasing this particular RNA molecule inside the cytoplasm. It never releases the complete bullet shaped particle as we have seen in the earlier cases. It will now release the RNA molecule, the negative strand RNA genome. And what is the fusion? The viral envelope fuses with the endosome membrane, thereby releasing the inside RNA genome to the inside, releasing the inside RNA genome in to the cytoplasm. Once it has reached the cytoplasm, once the RNA genome has reached the cytoplasm, it performs different functions. It performs different functions. The first function that is performed, is it goes towards the replication. It goes towards the replication. It goes towards the transcription. First of all, a positive strand mRNA is formed. As soon as those mRNA which we had discussed in the genomic section, those mRNA are formed, the host ribosomes are attaching to it. This host ribosome will be leading to the formation of multiple proteins, the viral proteins. All the five proteins will be formed. And those five proteins will combine to give rise to a polymerase complex, thereby increasing the number of this particular virus. You see, in order to multiply the negative strand RNA, the process what we are calling as replication, there is a requirement of RNA dependent RNA polymerase. And that function is performed by your viral proteins once they are formed. So viral RNA polymerase will lead to the formation of multiple copies of this particular RNA. Then what is happening other? So once the mRNA has been attached to that particular RNA molecule, it goes to the rough endoplasmic reticulum also, and in the rough endoplasmic reticulum there is a synthesis of glycoproteins. The glycoproteins, once synthesized, travel through endoplasmic reticulum via transport pathway, enters inside the glycolysis and goes onto the membrane. So you see, the infected cell membrane is now rich in the G protein which was produced by virus. So currently it is present on the membrane of the infected cell. So when the rest of the proteins are duly formed and there is a substantial number of the RNA that has been replicated, next process is assembly. Assembling the protein. While assembling the protein, the RNA binds to the phosphoprotein and the large protein, and it forms a matrix. When it goes to the membrane and starts the budding process, it takes the portion of the lipid membrane of the host cell which is rich in the glycoproteins that are present due to the formation of due to the formation inside the endoplasmic reticulum. So you see what it is doing. It is already preparing the envelope inside the inside the endoplasmic reticulum, and it is putting it on the surface. While after putting it, it is get assembling into a functional virus, and then assembling into a into a capsid which is encapsulating the RNA genome. Then it will reach to the membrane and it will bud off. While budding, it will take the portion of this membrane which is rich in viral glycoprotein, and it is released out. So this is how the complete viral cycle is going about. The complete replication cycle is going about. First, there is an attachment, endocytosis, fusion in the endosome, release of the RNA genome. RNA genome will lead to the formation of mRNA. The mRNA will be recognized by the ribosome. It will lead to the formation of glycoproteins inside the rough endoplasmic reticulum, as well as the other proteins. Other 4 proteins will be released in the cytoplasm. And in those other 4 proteins, there will be a polymerase complex, which will increase the number of the viral RNA. Once the viral RNA is increased and the protein is substantially formed, then they will start packaging, they will start assembling, they will assemble the viral particle. And simultaneously, on the other hand, the glycoproteins which are formed in endoplasmic reticulum is now migrating into the Golgi body, and via endoplasmic reticulum Golgi network they are attaching to the membrane surface. And when there is a budding process in the process of release of the virus, the budding process will take the part of that particular plasma membrane along with it, which is rich in viral glycoprotein, and the mature virus is now released and ready to infect the other cells. So this is how the complete replication cycle is going about. This is how the complete replication cycle is going about. Now, the other aspect what we should focus on, the other aspect what we should focus on is the rabies virus entry inside the neurons. How it manages to cross the barrier and enters inside the neuronic cell, and it goes about the how it goes about the interneuronal transport. So the receptor what we are talking about is nicotine acetylcholine receptor, which is located in the muscle membrane, the postsynaptic muscle membrane. Once it binds to that particular receptor, it gains an entry inside the neuron. Now, this particular receptor, what I'm talking about, the nicotine acetylcholine receptor, is vastly present at the neuromuscular junction that we are talking about, the synaptical cleft that we always study. And in that synaptical cleft, when the rabies virus is encountering this particular receptor, the virus will, and after binding, it will gain entry inside the neuron by certain molecules called as adhesion molecules. Now this entry inside the neurons will allow the rabies virus to travel along the axon to the cellular body. It will travel along the axon to the cellular body. Now that transport of the rabies virus, and people have speculated multiple mechanisms. Actually, 2 lines of mechanism I have shown here. It can transport the whole rabies virus or the virion particle itself, or it can also transfer the rabies virus capsid alone. So you see that particular antigenic properties allow this particular virus to gain access to the nerve cells. When we are talking about its antigenic property, what are the antigenic properties? What molecules on this particular viruses are behaving as an antigen? So you see, the surface proteins, what we are talking about, the glycoproteins, are the prominent antigens. And this antigenicity or evoking an immune response is generated when this glycoprotein, the spike, is binding to the acetylcholine receptor. This binding and this antigen will stimulate your T cell response, your T cell mediated response. And what is the response under normal condition? First of all, let us understand that. What is the response? The moment the single strand RNA is released inside the cell, this single strand RNA is recognized by the RIG protein, which by multiple kinase pathway leads to the activation of interferon regulatory genes, interferon regulatory factor. Now this interferon regulatory factor will go to the DNA along with other stimulants of another stimulated immunoregulatory transcription factor like NF-kappa B. And these transcription factors will lead to the formation of interferons, type 1 and type 2. Once the interferons are released, this interferon will be binding to its own receptor by the autocrine signaling, and by paracrine signaling it will be maintaining the antiviral state. So once these interferon binds to its receptor, it initiates the tyrosine kinase and JAK's pathway, which further activates the dimerization of STAT pathway, STAT transcription factor, and that STAT protein goes and binds to the interferon synthesis genes, leading to the synthesis of multiple interferons and antiviral proteins. And similarly, type 2 interferon performs the same function by stimulating the STAT pathway, and by stimulating the STAT pathway, it again results in the formation of antiviral proteins. So you see, that is the normal response that our immune system is mounting. So where it is actually inhibiting this rabies virus, it inhibits the migration of this interferon releasing factor inside the nucleus. It prevents the activation of, it prevents the active promotion of the expression of the antiviral proteins. So you see, it is affecting at a very critical path, where once their signal is being given, once the activation of the transcription is there, now this transcription factor is not allowed to go inside the nucleus and bind to that particular consensus sequence which will be responsible for maintaining the antiviral state. And this is how it is evading our immune response. This is how it is evading our immune response. And that's the summary what I have provided here. That is the summary what I have provided here, that how that interferons are secreted, how that immune response is mounted, and how this particular rabies virus is performing its function. So the phosphoprotein which we studied in these lineup, all the 5 proteins, among them the phosphoprotein, what we're calling it as RVP, the rabies virus phosphoprotein, is actually responsible for antagonizing this particular interferon response. It blocks the recognition of this virus by the pattern recognition mechanism, and it blocks the synthesis of these interferons. So the responsibility of the defense, or the responsibility of evading the immune response by the virus, is taken care by its small protein called as phosphoprotein. This particular phosphoprotein inhibits the induction. It inhibits the stimulation of the secretion of interferon beta. How it inhibits? It inhibits by attacking at this path. It will suppress the phosphorylation process of this particular interferon releasing factor. It will prevent the phosphorylation of interferon releasing factor 3. Thereby it will suppress, or it will inhibit the secretion or synthesis of this particular interferon, and there will be no antiviral state that is formed. And this is how it goes about evading the immune response. Then the next question comes: after studying the structure, genome, replication cycle, let us now focus on a topic, that is the pathogenesis of disease. The first question that comes into mind, that only we're talking about the bat caves or the dogs. No, any mammal can get affected by this particular virus, be it raccoons, foxes, dogs, cats, cattle, and humans, of course. So it is not host specific, that what we are talking about. And when people recognize this particular, in times when people recognize that yes, dog bite can lead to this particular disease, then people have narrated in their sculptures, in their writing forms, that yes, mad dog biting can cause this particular disease. And why the word rhabdo was given is because the individual which is affecting getting frenzy. So that term frenzy was taken in Latin language to go for rabas. So what is actually happening in this particular disease? See, the peculiar symptom that we are talking about is hydrophobia. Fear of water. The individual at the terminal cases is not able to swallow the water. Fear of water. You can imagine how that particular condition will be going about. And the transmission, what we have discussed, anything once the mucus is exposed, mucous membrane is compromised, there is a scratch or any kind of bite has been done, which is penetrating that mucosal membrane, and there is an infected mammal which has caused that particular damage. Then by the saliva, it might enter inside and cause cause that particular disease. And apart from this, in clinical setting, when we are talking about the organ transplant, then if there is a pathogen, if there is a presence of rabies virus, then it can cause the transmission. Now, if left untreated, if untreated, 50% of the individuals have been known to develop the rabies virus. While that's why it's very critical, to go for the management strategies, to go for the vaccination within the span duration of time, because that is the incubation period that is being taken care by this particular virus. In this particular virus, when we are talking about the corneal transplant, the eye transplantation, at that time also the complete precaution is taken care, while so that the pathogenesis of this rabies disease is not going ahead. So the complete pathogenesis cycle, how it is going about, let us see. When there is a live virus, it enters inside the mucous membrane. Once it enters inside the mucous membrane, it travels to the peripheral nerve. Once it gains the entry into the peripheral nerve, it gains the entry to your spinal cord system, then it travels to a brain, it grows to gray matter, the CNS syndrome, and from there it travels to the other tissues like salivary glands. This is how the pathogen is going about, and this is how the complete pathway is related. Once there is a bite, suppose on the mucosal membrane, then after this bite, at this site the virus will start replicating. Once it has replicated, the virus will now infect the nerve cell, the peripheral nerves, not the central nervous system. The peripheral nerves will be getting affected, and there will be retrograde. It will move from those nerves retrogradely via transport system, and then virus will start replicating inside the ganglions. Virus will start replicating inside the ganglions and will travel up to the spinal cord. Once it reaches to the spinal cord, it travels to the spinal cord and reaches to the brain. Once the brain is getting affected, then virus starts traveling via the nervous system and reaches to different tissues, be it saliva, kidney, be it salivary glands, eyes, or kidney. And this is how the pathogenesis and the travel of that particular virus is going about. So you see how it spreads with the infected animal. The word critical is infected animal. Fine. And the symptoms that we are talking about are normal symptoms of fever, depression, agitation, hallucinations, in the terminal cases, hydrophobia, what we are talking about. And then when the clinical system is going about, then the terminal case leads to your death. Eventually it leads to your death. So this is how the pathogenesis of the complete rabies is going about. And as per the WHO, there are three categories what we are talking about. First of all, it depends. It is just a touching of the skin to the infected animal, or there is a minor scratch without any kind of bleeding that you have come in contact with the infected animal. The third category is given to the deep scratches, or the where the mucosal membrane has been ripped off due to the bite. So that is being categorized as a third category, where the inoculation is prominent. So symptoms includes hallucinations, pain, nervousness, confusion, headache, fever, hydrophobia, that is the fear of water. People are not able to swallow, and then eventually when your central nervous system is impaired, it leads to your paralysis. Then when the brain is completely damaged, the individual goes to a coma, and eventually it leads to death. So when we are talking about the management of disease, the first case of the management of disease was provided in 1885 by Louis Pasteur. What he did at that time, it was very much prevailing. The people are dying across the nation because of this rabies virus. So what he did, he isolated the viruses and attenuated it, and administered those viruses directly, administered the plasma of those patients directly inside the individual. So the first individual who got the particular vaccine was a nine-year-old boy who got vaccinated. 13 injections were given by Louis Pasteur to this individual, and the patient got saved. So that was the first classical incident in the history which went for the vaccination and was a successful attempt. Likewise, today there are multiple vaccines that are available, and multiple indigenous vaccines also that are available in order to provide the management of this particular disease. So few of them are like what I have quoted here was developed by Central Research Institute of India, CRI, Kasoli, that is present in India. They developed this particular simple vaccine which contained which took out the virus that contained the virus that has been fixed in the laboratory from the sheep brain which was infected. and that particular virus is what formulated into a vaccine, and that was called a sample vaccine. The statement which you used to hear, there will be 14 injections once a dog bites. Nowadays there are no 14 injections, but the earlier time when there were 14 injections, those 14 doses were given based on this virus because of sample vaccine. So you see, there are nowadays there are multiple viruses of different manufacturers have come up with different platforms to provide you the management of this particular disease. So what are the MCQs that we should look ahead in order to understand this topic? See what category rabies viruses belong in, whether it is belonging to rhabdo, picorna, and what is the length of the genome, what are the different kinds of protein that are being synthesized. In among the proteins, which was the polymerase actually, which I told you, the polymerase complex, which is the polymerase that we are talking about. Then once we are talking about this particular virus in the laboratory setting, it is a fixed virus, or it is a street virus, or we are talking about naked virus in that scenario. Then apart from that, when we're talking about the receptor, there's a particular receptor that is associated with this particular virus. Then evasion, how that evasion is being carried out by this particular virus, whether this particular rabies virus is a zoonotic virus or what kind of virus. So with this, the further reading material is provided for your reading. You can read this and gain the remaining knowledge of this particular topic. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope the lecture was fruitful for you.